Hi, Mr. Mayfield here. I have a special message for all of my high school kids. Best wishes and good luck as you take the ACT in the coming days. Now, in order to try to help you and to help my students as well when they take the ACT in 7th grade, I have designed a handy little tool to talk you through how you should talk through the reading portion of the ACT. A good reader carries on a conversation with the passage, and so this is an example of a sample passage from ACT reading and a sample conversation that I, being a brilliant reader that I am, have when I read these texts. This passage is adapted from An Anthropologist on Mars. This passage is going to be about Mars! By Oliver Sacks, 1995 by Oliver Sacks. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe was an enlightened 18th century German poet and philosopher. In other words, he didn't have a job. Hermann von Helmholtz was a 19th century scientist and philosopher. Science was his day job, philosophizing was what he did at night. Goethe's color theory, his Farbenlehre, which he regarded as the equal of his entire poetic opus. Okay, so not only was he a poet and a philosopher, he also had a color theory with a word that I can't pronounce. And he decided that his color theory was the equal of all his poetic work, which means either he didn't think his poetry was very good or he really liked his color theory a whole lot. And how all that related to philosophy, I guess, went into his thoughts. Was by and large dismissed by all his contemporaries and has remained in a sort of limbo ever since. Limbo! Seen as the whimsy, the pseudoscience of a very great poet. How dare that very great poet make pseudoscience? I mean, do you see scientists making pseudo-poetry nowadays? I think not. Just quite an embarrassment. But science itself was not entirely insensitive to the anomalies that Goethe considered central, and Helmholtz, indeed, gave admiring lectures on Goethe and his science on many occasions. Helmholtz gave many admiring lectures on Goethe. I wonder what that looked like. Students, I would like to talk to you now about Goethe and how I admire him. Stop snickering. Stop that right now. I would like to devote the next several hours to discussing how much I admire Goethe, because he's a great poet, and he has this color theory, and even though everyone doesn't like his color theory, and it put him in some limbo, science later decided that it was going to embrace all that, and so thus my admiring lecture. Stop falling asleep. I see that. The last in 1892. The last lectures were in 1892. Now, knowing my history of 1892, I can narrow this down to three possible reasons why the lectures ended in 1892. One, the Sherlock Holmes series started being published, so people decided that they had better things to do than to attend lectures from Helmholtz on his great admiration that he had for Goethe. The second reason would be that Yale University started admitting women, and so at that point people had better things to do than to listen to Helmholtz lecture on Goethe. And then finally, the Liverpool Soccer Club was founded, and so all of the hooligans who were previously going to Helmholtz's lectures to heckle him and to cause mass riots and sing obscene chant songs that they like to do, they decided to move that action to the football pitch. So I think all of those are legitimate possibilities. I'm going to have to keep reading to discover the true answer, which will probably be one of these, because I'm typically fairly right in my assumptions, because I'm a good reader and make good guesses.